I have a question. About the OU upcoming season. It's been interesting the last few weeks to see all of a sudden there's a lot of momentum building up about their season, about the story about the surrounding OSU. When they walked off the practice field in April after spring practice, I didn't see all the hype about what I'm seeing now. What's happened in the last couple of months that's made the media wake up and realize that OSU is on the steps of maybe having a pretty special season? Now, granted, Barry made a great point there. They've got a tremendously tough schedule. I think there's 8 bowl teams that they've played from last year, so it's going to be a tough schedule. But there's some people overlooking that, and not just local media, but national media, that's saying these guys could have a special season. What's happened in the last couple of months that makes them think that?
Football season got closer. Is the biggest thing. I mean, all the preview magazines start coming out around this time, and that's when everyone starts talking about football again. And OSU is a really popular pick for all the national media as a sleeper team, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, they've gotten a ton of national press over the last 3 weeks or so. I mean, just they're a team that everybody's talking about. But I think that's the main thing is just that it got closer and it's time to start talking about football.
Andrea, how big of a factor is that game with Georgia? Because it seems like in addition to sleeper team, it's also early game not to miss sort of deal in all this magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
It's one of the biggest games that's going to be played that first week, and so that's what makes them. I said they're a sleeper team for a lot of people because if you pick them as a sleeper team and then they go out and beat Georgia, you look like a genius. It's a really easy way to, and it's just making a lot of people look at Oklahoma State early. That Georgia game is.
Okay. I've got a quick other question to that.
No follow-ups.
Darius Bowman. Darius Bowman, is that his name? I get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Will he be hyped as a Heisman Trophy candidate? I'm starting to see some of that talk. Will OSU really put a machine behind him, or will they let him kind of get into the season before they ramp that up?
Yeah,
and I'm curious about OU too. Will they have a Heisman candidate that they try to get on the list this year?
I'll let John answer the OU part, but Bowman12.com has been up and running for a couple months now, which is the Heisman hype for Bowman for OSU. So I think they're kind of trying to push him more for the receiving awards because it's hard for a receiver who doesn't do any, he doesn't return kicks or anything like that. So it's hard for a guy like that to win the Heisman. But I think that they're hyping him for all kinds of stuff.
John,
he's a really marketable guy. I mean, well-spoken, likable guy. So he's, an easy person to kind of hype if you're them.
John, anybody with the Sooners?
Oklahoma's in a similar spot. Their best player is a wide receiver, Malcolm Kelly, another guy who's very marketable, well-spoken. The problem, as Andrea alluded to, is wide receivers have a hard time winning the Heisman these days, it seems like. But if they have great seasons, I think you'll see them mentioned. Phil Steele is a guy who puts out one of the big magazines, and he actually has DeMarco Murray as a Heisman contender, which he hasn't taken a college snap yet, and it's kind of crazy. But, if you saw him in the spring, and if he can do anything like that in games, what he did in the spring, he's a guy that could at least make it interesting and exciting.